Hello, this is a video to go out with a current blog on the .NET Micro Framework, and specifically on the new NetDuino Mini processor that's just been announced. So this is a little breathalyzer experiment that's fully described out on the blog, and I'll leave a link to the blog along with this video. As you can see, it's very simple. There is the NetDuino Mini, which is a little ARM7 running on a 24-pin DIP package. There is the MQ3 alcohol sensor located right there. It's mounted, and I'll show you another angle in just a second. It's mounted with the power and ground on this side and a signal coming off on this side. The signal is conditioned by this variable resistor right here that you can set the calibration with. And that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just power to the processor and GPIO pins to run this array of LEDs. So what happens with the LEDs is that as the alcohol content of the air rises, the variable output of this sensor increases, and we light an increasing number of the LEDs. One thing that I do mention in the blog is that connecting to this processor is different than the usual USB connection, which is relatively easy. This is a little more complex in that you need to take a serial line from your computer and break it out so that pin 2 from the serial connector is connected into pin 1 on the Mini, pin 3 to pin 2, and pin 5 to pin 4. That gets you transmit, receive, and ground for the serial signal. Once that's done, then you can treat this as you would any of the other .NET devices and connect to it through Visual Studio or through MF Deploy. One other thing to consider is that the output from the MQ3, from the alcohol sensor, is going to be at 5 volts, and the NetDuino Mini can't accept 5 volts in the analog input. And so what I've done here is created a voltage divider circuit. These are 3 equivalent resistors, and that jump between where the signal comes and the ground, and by taking the signal off of the junction between the first two, I cut this down by 2/3, down to 2/3 rather, which is 3.3 volts and fully acceptable to the NetDuino Mini. Last thing before we see this thing in action is on the reverse side. You can see I mounted a 5-volt regulated power supply running off of 2 AA batteries and an on-off switch. This can be gotten on a number of hobbyist sites like SparkFun or Pelolu. Okay, now let's see this in action. I've dimmed the lights a little bit so the LEDs are a little more apparent. And I turn it on. The first thing you'll notice is that once it reboots, the white light starts to flash. During this time, the unit is heating up, and I'm developing the baseline, a stable baseline for making our measurements. At this point, I've gotten that baseline, and now I'm going to apply through blowing on the cork from some good single malt scotch, a little alcohol to the system. And there you can see the measurements spike initially, and then as the alcohol evaporates or blows off, the measurements slowly decay. Obviously, you could set it up so that you collect the high peak measurement, which I don't do right now. That's something for a later date. Thank you.